welcome to Tonight Talking Sports with Evan. I'm Evan Watalis, and thank you so much for tuning in to tonight's show. Have a lot to discuss, going all the way from Wisconsin Badger football, the Packers win against Washington, and then any concerns or issues with the Milwaukee Brewers coming into the playoff stretch. The Brewers did clinch a playoff berth officially over the weekend before they even played on Saturday. But since then, they've been, they've had some struggles, I guess. They took 2 out of 3 against the Cardinals. But really, since their big winning streak, they've had some struggles, and other teams have gotten hot. And the question is, do we have any concerns going into the playoffs? Is this just going to be same old Brewers come end of September? And other thing is WWE announced that they will be going to Saudi Arabia for WrestleMania, and I'll talk a little bit about, if I have time, my concerns there. But first of all, you can watch the show live every week. I promise. I know I made the announcement, but I will be doing more shows during the week. Just with scheduling haven't allowed. Last week I went to the Packer game. Thursday this week I am going to a Badger volleyball game and a Brewer game. So next week for sure will be multiple episodes. But you can find it on Facebook and YouTube, Talking Sports with Evan. And you can find it on X at Evan with Sports. And you can find it on Spotify and Apple and really anywhere you get your podcasts. One of the things I want to talk about, the current state of the Badger football program. The current state of the Wisconsin Badger football program. That is one of the things that I feel the need to talk about. I talked a few weeks ago what my expectations were coming into the 2025 season for the Badgers. I laid out what my expectations were. And so far, I'm pretty disappointed. I said I want to feel good when we win, and I want to feel good when we win, and I want to be able to take things away from the losses that make you feel like, okay, we're improving, we're getting better, things are looking up, and we're to the point right now that we're not. We're to the point right now where it's been disappointing. And look, Wisconsin fell to Alabama 38-14 on Saturday. I wasn't expecting to go into Alabama and get the win. Not what I was expecting. I knew going into Tuscaloosa, Alabama, and getting the win over a team that was still angry about losing to Florida State a couple weeks ago was going to be a very tall task, especially with the center coming back from an injury who ended up leaving the game, and your backup quarterback. It was going to be difficult, especially after you looked against Miami of Ohio and how you played against Middle Tennessee State for about 2.5 quarters before you flipped your switch. I knew Alabama very likely not going to be a win. But there's things I was looking for. There's things I wanted to see. I wanted to see the team show up, ball out, and play with some passion, play with some fire, and try to potentially be in position to try to steal the game at the end. I know it's probably asking a lot. But again, I didn't think Wisconsin was going to beat Alabama. I just wanted to see a better showing than last year. I just wanted to see a good showing of football and something that you can hang your hat on and say, okay, this program is going in the right direction. That's what I wanted to see. I didn't go in with that we're going to beat Alabama because I'm not that dumb. Am I dumb? Sure. You can call me a dumb fan. You can call me. You can say I have low IQ when it comes to talking sports. I've had people tell me that. Don't I don't believe it, but some people do feel that way. I have a low sports IQ, and I can only look at things with a homer attitude, and I can't look at things objectively or subjectively. I can only look at things as a fan wearing green or blue or red goggled or green goggled glasses, and I can't look at things objectively. Now, that's fine. You're allowed to have your opinion. But I'm not that stupid. I didn't expect the Badgers to go into Alabama and necessarily win. But as I said, I just want to see a better show. We have seen the program pretty much stay the same for the last 4 or 5 seasons. And this started before Luke Fickell, so I don't want to put all the blame in Luke Fickell, this little downturn of Badger football. It started under Paul Chryst, when Paul Chryst would not hit the recruiting trail as hard as he probably should have. He let his recruiting coordinator leave and never replaced them, and he was a man of wearing many hats, and the program just got stale, and some of the same mistakes and issues you're seeing now you saw developing under him. I was excited with the Luke Fickell hire when they first hired him, because he's a proven winner. He's taken Cincinnati of all programs to the college football playoffs. He looks like he's a program builder, and this is what Wisconsin needs after starting to become stale. But unfortunately, Luke Fickell has been a flop. He has been a huge disappointment. He made terrible hires as his offensive and defensive coordinators when he first got the job. I know the Badger defense, especially against the run, is playing much better this year than it did last year and the year prior. But I was never a fan of the Tresso hire at the time, and I'm still not. I was curious and optimistic of the offensive coordinator hire with the air raid system that it looked like the Badgers are going to start going into. It's like, okay, we're getting an offense here that might be one that can take the program to the next level. But it ended up failing miserably. And Fickell doesn't seem to always have the team prepared to play. He doesn't always seem to have the team geared up and ready to go on every given Saturday. I talked about a couple weeks ago that I want to see the wins look more impressive, and I want the losses to not sting as much, because losing like they did against Alabama this year and last year sucks witnessing that. But I think the conversation needs to be had. Is Luke Fickell the right man for the job? And honestly, I don't think that answer is yes. I think we've shown, starting with, year one, you can give him a pass because it's year one, new system, new guys, new coaching staff, whatever. But year two, no improvements. And so far in year three, very little improvements. I do like the Grimes hire as offensive coordinator so far. I like some of the stuff Grimes has been doing and attempting to do as the offensive coordinator. And I think he's done a really nice job of mixing in the old school Wisconsin approach with the new school of football. He wants to be a power run team, but he also wants to spread things out, and he does a lot of misdirection things and everything. I like what Grimes have done overall for the most part. And it's hard to, in week one, have your starting quarterback go down and have to go to the backup, and now you've had to start your backup the last couple of weeks. And there's things that your starter can do that your backup can't, and you have to kind of game plan around that. And I think Grimes is doing a halfway decent job doing that. But overall, I'm not impressed with the direction of the program. I'm not impressed with Luke Fickell. I'm not impressed with the way this team has grown or lack of growth over the last few seasons with the new regime. I think there's reasons why they didn't go with Leonard. The teams continued to sleepwalk. The team continued to struggle. The team continued to lack an identity under the interim era of Jim Leonard, and he didn't really earn the job as an interim coach. He didn't really do anything that stood out to make you say we need to hire him full time. And at the end of the day, interims becoming head coaches don't typically work out. It would have been a good storybook hire. Jim Leonard, all-time great corner as defensive back. I mean, with the Badgers, a great defensive coordinator, now getting a shot as head coach. It would have been a great story, but he didn't get hired for a reason, and the Badgers decided to go outside the program, and it just unfortunately hasn't worked out. But I think it's fair to have the conversation with Luke Fickell. And again, I wasn't expecting an Alabama win. I was just expecting a better performance. I was expecting and hoping for a team that was going to play with some fire and some passion. But we are year 2 and 3 games into the Luke Fickell era. And I want you to name me one thing that Luke Fickell does. I mean, the Badgers do well under Luke Fickell. Name me one thing the Badgers do well with Luke Fickell as their head coach. What is their identity? What is the Badger football program's identity? It used to be the overachievers, the walk-ons. You get your 2 and 3 star guys, you develop them, and I get college sports is different. But they had an identity, and they don't have an identity right now. What is that identity? There isn't any, and that's frustrating. I grew up in Madison. I grew up a huge Badger fan. I'm still a huge Badger fan. But at the end of the day, it's quite frustrating watching the product that this program puts on the field each and every Saturday afternoon or evening or morning, whatever time the game is. And I'm looking at you, Chris McIntosh. I'm looking at you wanting to see what direction you want to take this in. Do you want to continue the hemorrhage? Season ticket sales are down. They are down significantly this year for football. Why is that? There's a lack of excitement and passion with the fans because they're seeing what has been put on the field. They're seeing the product that is out there, and they're like, why are we going to continue to spend all of this money over this, over what we've witnessed the last 4 or 5 years? In this new era of college football, with the transfer portal and things like that, teams can improve fairly quickly, and the Badgers haven't. And I don't know if it's lack of development. I don't know what it is, but Luke Fickell did a great job selling McIntosh and the Badger fans on what he wanted to do with the program, what he was going to do with the program, but he has looked like a con man. He basically looked like a con man now for his tenure with Wisconsin. We see all the hype videos. We see the Squat Fest. We see the big announcements with when they bring in a new recruit. But that presentation doesn't matter if you're not winning on the field, if you're not developing the guys you bring in and win on the field. We saw Indiana go from complete afterthought to playing in the college football playoffs in 1 year. That can happen in college football today. And I get Wisconsin has higher academic standards than some other schools like Indiana, but you need to get somebody in here that's going to be a little bit more exciting than Luke Fickell. I'm tired. I'm a tired Badger fan, and I feel it is truly time for McIntosh to make a change, and it may even be time to look into the AD position and maybe make a change from Chris McIntosh, because the football program's not the only program that's kind of gone stale under his watch. The Badger men's hockey team has really gotten stale, and it as I said, it's very frustrating to watch, and something needs to change, something needs to be done. That's where I'm at with the Badger program. I'm not going to hold my breath that things are going to change and things are going to get better until I see it happen, but there's just lack of enthusiasm among Badger fans right now. The Badger sports department is now and not that it's a bad thing, it's a women's hockey and volleyball school. That is what the UW is. Men's basketball is still competitive, but football was the breadwinner for the university. And now, like I said, season tickets are down. There's a lack of enthusiasm. There's a lack of pride. And that starts with the leadership at the top. And McIntosh hasn't shown anybody that he is able or knowing how to fix things right now. And how the rest of the season progresses, he might have some tough decisions to make, or the chancellor might have some tough decisions to make. So where are you on Luke Fickell? Where are you, if you're a Badger football fan watching this, where are you on Luke Fickell? Is it time to pull the plug and start over again? Because I think it is. Do you think it's time? At Evan with Sports, or you can comment on YouTube or Facebook, Talking Sports with Evan. So that's kind of what I want to get off my chest with the Badger football program. Now moving on. The Green Bay Packers win again. 27-18 victory over the Washington Commanders, but in reality, it was not that close. The Commanders scored a touchdown in pretty much garbage time. It was a 27-10 ball game late, and then the Commanders scored a touchdown, went for 2, cut it to 9 points. Outside of that, the Packers pretty much dominated the game. Jordan Love played a great game, 19-31 for 292 and 2 touchdowns. They are still struggling to get Jacobs going a little bit, but Tucker Kraft, 6 catches for his first career in anywhere, 100-yard game and a touchdown. Romeo Doubs continues to impress. The defensively, Edger and Cooper, just incredible. Bullard probably had his best game as a Packer thus far. Quay Walker continuing to be solid, and Evan Williams continuing to be really good. Devontae Wyatt continuing to have a breakout year. And then there's this guy named Micah Parsons. Now, he only had 2 tackles and a half a sack, but he had a lot of pressures. He broke through triple teams. Again, if you strictly look at the stats, like I said after week 1, if you strictly look at the stats, if you're looking at the box score, you're going to be like, well, why are they paying this guy all this money and this is the production we're getting? What you're not seeing is that he is opening other guys up, and he is opening other ways to allow other guys to make plays. And the thing is, he's still on a pitch count. He's still on a limited snap count. And when that continues to get taken away, when he continues to get more playing time, when he continues to get more reps, he is going to get a lot of plays, get a lot of big plays in bunches. And that is what's going to eventually happen once he gets more comfortable in this Packer system. Because we're seeing it right now. We're seeing the impact that Micah Parsons can have with the action that he's currently getting. And I'm happy to see what we're seeing from Micah Parsons so far. I'm happy to see what we're seeing from the Packers so far. And one of the things that really made me excited is we had a Wildcat package with Santavion Williams. We had Savion Williams. We had a Wildcat package with Savion Williams. He had 2 carries for 24 yards, and one of them was as a quarterback. And the fake pitch and the end around, there is a lot of stuff the Packers can do with that look. Maybe next time guys don't, there's a couple guys that bid on the fake pitch. Maybe they don't next time. And you can pitch it back to Jordan Love and you get a pass down the field. There's just so much you can do with that package. And the Packers are a team on defense that is flying to the football, making plays in the backfield. Now, there's still some concerns with covering the middle of the field, but they are getting after it. They're making quarterbacks' lives difficult. They're forcing the quarterback to have to get the ball out sooner. And, Jaden Daniels is a quarterback that is known for his running ability, and Jaden Daniels couldn't get comfortable. Jaden Daniels couldn't get comfortable running the offense because the Packers kept getting pressure on him. He had to keep running around. But hey, when Jaden Daniels did run, guess what? He was not able to run over the defense because they had number of hats going to the football. Either a spy with Cooper or Walker. Bullard from the slot was getting at him quite a bit. And the Packers defense is playing with an edge right now. They're playing with an edge to them that is impressive to watch, and Jeff Hafley has done a great job. We saw pieces of it last year, and this year we're seeing the defense fully together and seeing what the Packers wanted to do with the defense of what they got. Now, it wasn't all rainbows and sunshine in the game. They did lose Jaden Reed for a good chunk of the season with a broken collarbone. Had surgery on the collarbone today as well as his foot. They left a lot of points on the board. Rodgers missed a couple of deep shots to Matthew Golden. And, penalties were a problem. 10 penalties. So there are things that need to get cleaned up. There are things that the Packers need to look at on film and say, hey, we need to clean this up. Because 10 penalties for 77 yards is not acceptable. Dominating a game, 404 yards of total offense at 230, and this being a close game, 17-10 game at one point in the early fourth quarter, not really acceptable. So there's obviously things the Packers need to clean up. And the running game. Yes, they had 135 yards on the ground. But the running game has continued to be a work in progress. And I know you were without Zach Tom, you're without Aaron Banks, and you're likely without Zach Tom again this week. But you got to figure out the running game. Everything you do premises is from the running game. Eventually, the passing game is going to get more difficult if you cannot get the running game more in tune with what you're trying to do. Everything with the Matt LaFleur offense is built on the run. And as I mentioned, when you're struggling to run the ball like the Packers are right now, play actions aren't going to be as effective eventually. And you're just going to have a hard time finding guys open down the field because teams that know you can't run the ball. So those are really my biggest problems with the Packers right now. And they're fixable, they're correctable. And if they can get them fixed, if they can get them corrected, the Packers are a team, in my opinion, that can compete for a championship this year. I honestly feel that way. And last but not least, Milwaukee Brewers. Milwaukee Brewers currently hold a 4.5 game lead in first place because the Cubs won today. With a win, they're currently up 5-2 over the Angels in the top of the 7th inning. A win, they back to a 5-game lead over the Cubs, and the magic number is down to 7. Right now, the magic number is 8. And if they get this win tonight, magic number is now 7. And a win tomorrow, it can be down to 6 or 5. Yeah, 6 or 5. And again, it can continue to drop. I'm not worried at this point about the division. I think the division is the Brewers. I think the Brewers, it is their division. What I am more worried about is that 1 seed. It looked like a few weeks ago that there was a lock that the Brewers would be the 1 seed and have home field advantage throughout the playoffs. But the Philadelphia Phillies have been red hot. The Phillies are doing what the Brewers did um, back during their 14-game winning streak, and all they do is keep winning. And that is where winning the season series against the Phillies was so important. So the Brewers had the Phillies come to town Labor Day, over Labor Day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I did say to a buddy of mine, I want to take at least 2 out of 3. I would love a sweep, but at minimal, they need to take at least 1 game. And if you can take at least 1 game, the reason why that was important, because you take that season series. Now you have the tiebreaker over the Phillies. Now the Phillies have to do 1 game better than you in order to get that 1 seed. And you're seeing why that's important right now, because if you look at the standings, the Phillies are now at 90 and 61 with a game to be played later tonight out in LA. The Brewers are 91 and 59. So it's the Phillies are very close to having that 1 seed. And now if the Brewers don't have the 1 seed, at least they're likely going to have the 2 seed, and you still get a first round bye, and you still don't have to worry about playing in the first round of the playoffs. And guess what? By default, you're out of the first. You made it out of the first round of the playoffs because you got a 1 or a 2 seed. But I'm not overly concerned at this point with the Brewers. They were playing ridiculous baseball for a while. Things have kind of come back down to earth. But guess what? Baseball is a game of ebbs and flows. The important thing is there's 2 weeks left. Get hot over these next 2 weeks and go into the postseason on a high, and you're going to be fine. So, not going to talk WWE tonight. I'm going to leave it there. Appreciate you all watching. Appreciate you all listening to the podcast. The audio version will be posted first thing tomorrow. Otherwise, you can watch it on YouTube, watch it on X, watch it on Facebook, YouTube and Facebook, Talking Sports with Evan. Please like and subscribe. And on X at Evan with Sports, please follow. So with that said, thank you so much for tuning in. I'll get back at you next week, hopefully talking a Packer victory. And I hope you all have a great, safe rest of your week. I'll talk to you later.